Hey guys, MCU Collector here with another video. Very exciting to finally have my first Marvel Studios, the first 10 years, Marvel Cinematic Universe, MCU 10th anniversary, however you want to call the line, but the new Hasbro Marvel Legends series movie figures. This is the first of 10 different boxed sets. Now, some of them are individual figures, like this Ronan the Accuser, for instance, and then as well as Red Skull and Iron Man Mark 7 are individually package figures as well. But this is the first in my collection, so I'm very excited to have this. I can't wait to open it. Since the movie came out, I've been wanting to have a Ronan figure. This one is one of my most wanted from the line. This and Yellow Jacket pretty much being tied. I can never tell you which one I wanted more, but one of the top two that I really wanted, and we finally have it. And just I'm so excited to have this finally, to open it up and really take a look. Now, I know there's some funny things when it comes to that headpiece, you know, when he turns his head. But remember, in the movie, he didn't really turn his head. So I think it's okay. It's going to be all right. But let's get opening it. So we have the new style package for the Marvel Studios, the first 10 years line. So you see the Legend series up here in the corner. So we know it is still part of the Legend series line. We've got the Guardians of the Galaxy movie logo down there, and they throw in that Marvel Studios there. We have the Guardians of the Galaxy logo right there in front. You see it says Ronan, even though he was called Ronan the Accuser in the movie. If you remember, the other called him that, Ronan the Accuser. So really cool. And then here we have that cool Marvel Studios, the first 10 years. And I really like that they put the 10 for the IO in the Marvel Studios. So really cool that they did that. Some cool side artwork. Now we know that all 10 packages, as we put them together, will create one collage. So excited to have that. And it's going to be based off of promo art. And I think maybe some stuff from the actual movies, but I think for the most part it's going to be promo art, because you see here Star-Lord, and he definitely didn't look like that in the movie. So really cool, excited to see that there. And then up at the top, silhouetted Marvel Studios, the first 10 years. Here on the side, we actually have some information on the movie. You can see that 2014 is when Guardians of the Galaxy came out. It is number 6 in the line, and it reads, sent on a mission by Thanos to recover the mystical entity known as the Orb, Ronan discovers that the target he seeks is in fact an all-powerful Infinity Stone. Ronan uses the stone to destroy the Nova Corps' fleet, but is ultimately destroyed by his own greed when the Guardians of the Galaxy take the orb back and use it to entirely obliterate him. Haha. Now we know he's actually going to be back in the MCU. He's going to be part of the Captain Marvel movie, but again, that's a prequel. So he will be there. So pretty cool that he's going to be in another movie. So here we have the movie poster from the first movie, picture of Ronan, and then the bio reads, an avid loyalist to the Kree whose family was killed in the Kree Nova War, Ronan agrees to a partnership with Thanos in order to take down the Nova Corps on Xandar once and for all. So really cool. There is a UPC. Now we know that this is a GameStop / online shared exclusive. So Entertainment Earth, Dorkside Toys, Big Bad Toy Store, whoever you go through, this is going to be available, including GameStop. I'll have a link to Entertainment Earth in the description below. I do like Entertainment Earth, and there'll be a link in there, an affiliate link. So really cool. So let's open it up. As you can see here are all the figures in my MCU collection for the first Guardians of the Galaxy movie. So we have the Build-A-Figure Groot right over here in the back, the Toys R Us exclusive Evolution of Groot, Star-Lord. I got a second Yondu. I have 2 Yondus, one for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, and then one for the first movie. So you have the one with the larger fin is actually for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. So this one works perfectly for the first movie. We have Gamora by Ronan's side, as well as Nebula there, and I have the regular hand for the first movie, and then a second figure with the clawed hand for the Volume 2. We have Rocket, Potted Groot, that also came in the Evolution of Groot Toys R Us exclusive, because at the end of the movie, this is how Groot was. And then we have Drax here, of course. So I'm weird like that when it comes to my MCU collection. I'll get multiples of figures if they're in multiple movies and the outfit at least makes sense, as close as possible. So I technically have actually only have 2 Nebulas. I did not get one for Infinity War because the purple really doesn't go. If she had like the the Ravager colors. That would have been perfect, but she doesn't, so I don't have that. And now that I'm thinking about it, Rocket actually has the blue at the end of the movie as well as Drax. So do I get doubles for those? That's too much thing. That's too many figures. Too many figures. I'm off on a tangent. But here are all the figures in the movie looking really cool. And we have Ronan right in the middle looking menacing. Now, it is a very good looking figure. But there's some things that I noticed right away that I was like, So, and I hate being a big critic of these Legends figures because, I mean, they're $20 figures. Or in this case, the premium line, $25 figures. You know, what can we really expect from them? And really not a whole lot, but we do want quality stuff that's good. I, for one, care more for the aesthetic appeal of a figure, but that's just me. I know everyone kind of goes for posability and things like that. For me, it's the overall aesthetic look that's more important to me, mixed in with articulation. So a figure has to have good articulation as well. So when looking at the Ronan figure, awesome figure, but one thing is my torso is a little loose, and I don't know if that's going to be on all the figures or if that's just going to be on mine. The hammer is very interesting. I think it's kind of a lighter gray than it should be. It probably should be a little bit darker, but the weight of it, because this is a solid piece here for the hammer portion of it, so the weight of it it draws his torso down, which I don't like. So depending on how he's going to have it and, you know, how he wields it so much in the movie. I know he did the overhand. Let's see if I could do it. You know, when he kills that Xandarian, I think it was Xandarian, at the beginning of the movie, he kind of does the overhand. And that's going to be tough along with the headgear. But anyway, let's take a close look at this. And what's really cool is it has the purple, the Power Stone in there from the orb when he grabs it out of the orb and he slams it into his hammer. So really cool. It's not a whole lot of sculpted things. Basically just a sculpted little oval in there. But what they did was nice, and it's I'm trying to see if it's gonna be how I can get it on camera to look good. But anyway, they painted these little purple lines that are going off of that circle to make it look like that energy that's kind of going through the hammer. So it's a nice little detail that you could see, and it's kind of hard to get that to really show through unless you could kind of see it that way. But really nice. The sculpt of it's nice. You can see all this nice sculpted line work in there, which is really good. Now, it's just done in a gray plastic, and I think that's where they went wrong. Maybe they should have used a darker plastic or thrown some paint in there, because I think it's just too light colored. I think it should be darker, and it is very, very top heavy. So depending on how you're going to have it, kind of like what happened with the Gladiator Hulk, in time, this thing will bend down. So you do want to be careful with that, because this is a very thin staff. So that weight of this top portion is really going to bow it out and bend it. So be careful of that. But really cool. I still really like the way that looks. So that's awesome. It's there. So let's take a close look at the Ronan figure before we go into the articulation. I do want to point out just how good the figure looks. Now, this is 100% new sculpt work. So just like that premium pricing, what it should be because we're receiving a lot of new sculpted work. Now, that's not going to be the case with like the Captain America. It's not going to be the case with Hulk or the Hulkbuster, other than a new head for the Hulk. And then Yellow Jacket is going to be all new, but Ant-Man is 90% new. I mean, 90% reused. There's some new things to that figure that I had seen from some other reviews. But in this particular case, the $25 makes sense because it's 100% new sculpt. They're revisiting something that's older, and there's a lot of detail to this figure. So I'm happy with the price. I don't mind the price. I know a lot of people are not going to be happy with it. I, for one, am okay, because look at all the sculpted detail throughout this figure. All the way down to the boots, to the shoes. All kinds of different sculpted work, even in those boots. So a lot going on with the figure here. And look at the red paint throughout. And that red paint is actually some of that sculpted on and then painted red over it to give it that textured look. So that's some of that's part of the sculpt itself, and you can just look throughout the figure how much sculpt work is in it. And look at that. Paint on the back of the figure. Like, that wasn't even necessary. Hasbro could have completely gone away with not painting that X on the back. No, but none of us probably would have noticed. And yet they did it. So good for Hasbro for actually doing that. Because, right, you would think they wouldn't even bother. And yet here we are in the back of the figure. They actually did it. So really cool sculpt work in this headdress portion. Nice shoulder pads. And then there's the arms and shoulders under there. And look at how that is. You can actually see that this lower bicep is a separate piece when you get a swivel in there, because it shows the layered armored look. So really cool there. We take a close-up look at the head and the face. Now it's hard to tell, but yes, this is actually the digital face print. Now I think it's only going to apply to the eyes, because they want to get that the realistic eyes look. And I think for the most part, that's what's good about the digital face print. But here, it's basically some purple colors. It's very hard to see, but he's got some purple in there. And it does look good. It's going to be hard to see because I almost feel like his face is a little bit small, actually. But it's hard to tell. And then you have some lines in there. And then you have the nice black war paint that he puts on as he's getting ready. And the nice blue flesh tone skin. So really cool. So I really, really like that a lot. Now, as far as the articulation, here's where it's going to be kind of a kicker, because people are not going to like this. I've already seen that many people don't like this. And so when you turn the head, you can see that the shoulder pads go right along with this headdress. Now, that's part of the head sculpt. So you can pop off the head and it's on a big black ball joint. So here is the head. Why Hasbro chose to do this, I don't know. Why they couldn't just have this like a separate piece. If anything, what they would have had to do was maybe make a separate cape piece that would go onto here, and they could have made it one with this, but these are actually pegged and glued into the back of the figure there. So they could have done the head, and then say this hood piece was a separate piece. But we've seen this technique before with Hasbro, where the head is actually glued within the hood. It's just this hood happens to incorporate those shoulder pads. Now, I don't mind it, because if you go back and watch that movie, how often does Ronan turn his head? He doesn't. He may do a little bit of that, a little bit of that, but not much. You know, when he turns around and looks at Drax towards the end, and he's walking away, and Drax is, you know, calling him out. He just kind of stands there and turns his like upper body a little bit and looks back. You know, he doesn't turn his whole head around. That's because of the actual suit that he's wearing is going to be hindering that anyway. But yeah, so let's look at the articulation. So the head, it's hard because see, my torso's a little loose, so it's hard to get around. Oh, that's going to bother me. Look how loose it is. But his head can look all the way down, and that's going to look funky because of those shoulder pads. It's not going to look up because those shoulder pads are going to get in the way of those shoulders. His arms can go out all the way, but then this is going to look a little bit funky. We would get a full rotation. There's upper bicep swivel. You get there's a double jointed elbow in there, but you know, and it was just delivered today, and it was kind of sitting out in the sun, so it might still be a little bit heated. I need to cool down a little bit, but the hinge is actually pretty thin, if you could see it. It's actually a pretty thin hinge in there, so careful with that. It feels a little loose, a little gummy, but it is double jointed, even though I can't really seem to get that second joint to go in. And it might just be that's all the motion that we're going to get in there. So that could be my figure. I think I'm going to have to wait and let it cool down. Maybe run some hot water again and then throw it under some cold water. The wrists swivel. There is a roll of the dice motion on this hand, on the left hand. The right hand is the normal hinge and swivel. Ab crunches down quite a bit. Crunches back a little bit too, and it's nice because it's sculpted all the way through on that ab crunch. There is a waist swivel there. The legs can kick all the way forward. You don't get a whole lot of side motion in there. And that's partly going to be because this skirt piece is going to hinder that a little bit. There is an upper thigh cut in there. You get a double jointed knee, which, you know, depending on how you work it with that skirt piece, it's not going to be easy to get that bend in there. But you do get a double jointed knee. The foot hinges up ever so slightly, not a whole lot in there because you can see it in the sculpt of the boot there. So it hinges all the way down though, and you do get ankle pivot. Oh, that torso, that's gonna bother me. Hopefully that's not the case with all the other figures. Hopefully that's not the case with yours. But there he is. There is Ronan. Awesome looking figure. So for any MCU collectors like myself, he's a must-have. So GameStops, Entertainment Earth, Big Bad Toy Store, however, whatever your retailer of that you prefer, I do recommend ordering it. $25. I think it is a good, fair price for as much sculpt and detail that's in this actual figure. But there he is. That's my review. If you guys have any questions, hit me up in the comments below. Hit that thumbs up if you guys liked the video. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already done so. But as always, thank you for watching.